guys, it's Minx, and it's that time again, time for another review. This time I'm reviewing Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Um, I actually went back and read all 7 of the Harry Potter books so that I would be prepared for this. I'm not sure quite what I was expecting, but I wanted to be in the right mindset and, have Harry Potter on the brain. Um, so, with that said, I also want to say I'm going to preface this by saying the fact that this is a play and that it's a script has no bearing on what my overall thoughts were on it. It didn't detract for me, from the story inside. Uh, because let's face it, we've all read plays in high school, like Shakespeare and stuff, so it shouldn't really bother you. You can still get a sense of what the plot line is about. Um, and it shouldn't be that hard. Plus, I like a lot of dialogue, so it doesn't really, affect me in any bad way, even though it's not J.K. Rowling's usual prose. Um, so with that said, I'm gonna get into some spoilers as I talk about this. So if you haven't read it and you want to, go read it first. If you haven't, if you do have read it, just listen close and then tell me what you think below. Alright, so Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. The plot, the overall plot line is muddy and middling and somewhat rubbish. I've actually read better fan fictions than the basic plot line in this. Um, it's got confusing motivations with some of the characters. Um, Harry and Albus don't get along, and yet Albus is embarking on this great adventure with his best friend Scorpius to save Cedric Diggory, you know, to keep his dad from having to feel guilty. Yet they don't have a father-son relationship that would warrant something like that. And the time travel just kind of bogs everything down. So I didn't really like the plot overly much. Some of the characters, I didn't really care for how some of the characters were treated. Ron, for example, is pretty much a blundering idiot in this particular book. He's portrayed like the goofy uncle that does stupid things, and that's not how I read Ron at all. Ron has his serious moments. He has his moments of being a badass too, and treating him like a blundering idiot throughout whenever he was in scene was just ridiculous. Um, so I was not pleased by that at all. Albus, like I said, has confusing motivations as to why he wants to do this for his dad, who he doesn't even really like for a majority of the book. They don't really have any kind of understanding with each other, and that's the main problem. So he has confusing motivations for why he wants to embark on this, other than to please Delphi. Um, Delphi being the daughter of Voldemort, there I said it. Um, I don't know how I feel about that. That part of the plot line, when you find out that she was born from Bellatrix Lestrange, at the Malfoy Manor before the Battle of Hogwarts, and that she's the daughter of Voldemort. I think I actually talked with one of my best friends about something like that years ago. Like, oh my god, if he had a kid, he would totally have it with Bellatrix. And I think we discussed that. So, and that could have been a fan fiction back then. So I mean, it's not exactly a new idea, but Delphi, it was also confusing when Delphi had her own time turner. Um, so that was kind of lackluster. Harry was kind of an asshole to his kid, and kind of a jerk, even though he's like trying to be a dad or whatever. Um, So that's not really anything new. Harry's kind of an asshole in some of the original books too, so that didn't really bother me too much. Um, I will say Scorpius was delightfully awkward. I enjoyed the character of Scorpius probably the most out of the entire thing. Just having him as this awkward duck. Um, was actually kind of cute and endearing. I loved some of his lines. He got probably some of the best lines in the play, um, including the end when when he asks out Rose, and he's like, that's not hatred in her eyes, that's pity, and pity is the will build the foundation of love. I just thought, you know, he was just too cute, and he was one of the more enjoyable parts of the play. Another thing I actually surprisingly liked was how attentive of a parent Draco was. The fact that he was fully invested in where his child was and rescuing him and finding out, where the hell have they gone? I want my son back. That was surprising, but it was nice to see a more emotional Draco, um, compared to how he's generally seen in the other books. We know that in Half-Blood Prince, he kind of breaks down because he's been had this job thrust upon him, as punishment for his dad's transgressions. And you get to see another slightly more emotional Draco, finding out that he stood up to his parents about his wife and that he, loved his wife dearly, and then she passes away and all he's got left is his son, and he's fully invested in that. So I thought that was actually kind of refreshing. Another thing that I thought was good is I actually like the fact that Albus is in Slytherin. I actually fully agree with that, and I also think it's absolutely adorable that him and Scorpius are best friends. Because I could totally see that happening, especially with as awkward as Scorpius is. He needs someone stronger to follow, and that ends up being Albus. And I can see them getting up to some hijinks very easily. I think that was one of the few good points of the story, because I was actually kind of invested in that friendship. Um, with that said, I'm gonna give Harry Potter and the Cursed Child a C plus, because of the plot being really weak and really weak sauce. Now, would I see this as a play? Yes, I would love to see this as a play. I would love to see how they take the imagery in my head and put it out on stage. It would probably solve some of my confused moments over the plot. Plus, it's Harry Potter. Who wouldn't want to see Harry Potter, on stage? So yeah, C plus or a C. Probably just a C. Um, with that said, tell me what you thought of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Let me know down below. Also, hit that little red button that says subscribe. It helps me out a lot, and the little bell next to it so you get notified whenever I drop another review. And click or tap right here to get my latest Once Upon a Time review. Click or tap right here to get my Iron Fist Season 1 review. And click or tap right over my face somewhere to look at my latest unboxing video. And as always, later geeks!